Good evening. So tonight is the last talk. Tonight the topic is why Bhavana is so important. This word Bhavana is one of the ways we can get blessings, punya. I've mentioned before the three ways of getting blessings, as mentioned in Anguttara Nikaya 8.36, is Dana, Sila and Bhavana. Dana is charity or generosity. Sila is moral conduct, not harming other beings. Bhavana is development. Dana and Sila, we already spoke about on the first night. Dana and Sila gives us worldly blessings. And if you practice Dana and Sila, you raise your blessings in the present life. In Cantonese we say, Cho Wan So Ko. Hokkien we say, Cho Na Ne Ji Un Ka Kwan. And so we decrease our bad luck. Many of us, we have karmic obstructions, various kind of karmic obstructions that make our life not so smooth. And this will decrease when you raise your blessings by practicing Dana and Sila. Even some people who are disturbed by spirits, when they practice Dana and Sila, after that they are no more disturbed by spirits. Some people see ghosts, and that is principally because they want so tight, blessings low. But when they practice Dana and Sila, after that they also don't see. Also, we practice Dana and Sila because our blessings increase. We become more happy, and when we become more happy, we can get rid of remorse, we can get rid of depression, etc. As I mentioned today, the Dhamma that the Buddha taught, he said is sanditiko, can be seen in this very life. The result of your practice, you will know in this very life. You don't have to wait for the next life. Also, if you have Dana and Sila, the Buddha said, your next rebirth will be as a human being. Or if you do Dana and Sila to a greater degree, you are reborn in the sensual desire heavens. Now, Bhavana development is spiritual blessings. It is higher kind of blessings than Dana and Sila. And this word Bhavana, in Chinese, I like to translate it as Xiu Xing. Xiu Xing means Xiu Xing Wei. We change our character. Because the Buddha said that if you want to be reborn in heaven, have to change your character until you have the character of a Deva or Devi. Then only you are qualified to go to heaven. So it is, although we say Xiu Xing, it's not only Xiu Xing, it's also Xiu Xin. Because it is development of character and development of mind. When you do these two things, develop your character and develop your mind, you become a higher class of living being, and it can bring you to a heavenly rebirth, even higher than the sensual desire realm, sensual desire heavens. What is development of character? Development of character means we get rid of unwholesome states of mind. and we develop wholesome states of mind. This is very important because the state of our mind conditions or determines the kind of actions that we do. If you have an unwholesome state of mind, like some people have a lot of greed, a lot of anger, etc., then they do unwholesome actions that harm other beings. But if you have a wholesome state of mind, then you will do wholesome actions that benefit more than harm other beings. This development of character, getting rid of unwholesome states and developing wholesome states, is a factor of the Aryan Eightfold Path. It is the sixth factor called right effort. Right effort is defined as the effort to get rid of unwholesome states of mind and to develop wholesome states of mind. Unwholesome states of mind are things like greed, anger and hatred, arrogance, laziness, shamelessness, etc. And then wholesome states of mind are generosity, morally upright, having gratitude, having humility, having compassion and loving kindness, etc. In the Dhammapada verses by the Buddha, the first and the second verse goes like this. The Buddha said, mind is the forerunner of all states. Mind is chief, mind-made are they. If one acts with an impure mind, suffering follows one, like the wheel follows the foot of the ox. And then the second verse is, mind is the forerunner of all states. Mind is chief, mind-made are they. If one acts with a pure mind, happiness follows one, like the shadow that never leaves. So, our mind states determine our thoughts, whether they are wholesome or unwholesome, and that determines our actions through the body, speech and mind. And our actions, if we do it constantly, it becomes habit. So our habits determine our character. And our character determines the soul, the linghun inside of us. In the suttas, the Buddha called this the mind-made body. It is your mind that makes this soul. Some monks say there is no soul. That is because of their wrong understanding of the word soul. I also used to think that in Buddhism there is no soul, because we are used to the Christian concept that soul is something that is permanent, everlasting. But in the Oxford English Dictionary, the soul is defined as the spiritual or immaterial part of a human being, often regarded as immortal. In Hinduism, it is called astral body. In Chinese, we call it linghun. The Buddha did not say that there is no soul. The Buddha did say that there is nothing in the whole world that is permanent, everlasting, that is immortal. So we must differentiate the word anatta from this word soul. Anatta is no self, meaning no thing that is permanent, everlasting. But in Buddhism, the soul is impermanent. In fact, in Buddhism, the Buddha said, when we pass away, there are 5 destinations of rebirth. 2 are happy destinations, 3 are woeful destinations of rebirth. The 2 happy ones are heaven and human rebirth. if we are reborn in these two realms, we are generally happy. The three woeful planes is the ghost realm. Worse than the ghost realm is the animal realm. And worse than the animal is the hell realm. Sometimes we wonder why, some people wonder why the ghost is worse than the animal is worse than the ghost. Because animals, especially wild animals, live in fear all the time. Big creatures will eat the small creatures. So suppose you are a smaller creature in the forest, you have to kill to find your food. So every day, because of hunger, you have to go out to look for food. But at the same time, bigger creatures are also looking for food. So if you get caught by a bigger creature, you'll be eaten alive. So your flesh will be torn from you. So it's a very frightening world. Worse than the ghost. So this, just now I mentioned there are 5 destinations of rebirth. If we look carefully, only 2 of them have a flesh body. That is the human and the animal realm. They have flesh body. The other 3 do not have a flesh body, but they have a body. What kind of body do they have? They exist in the spirit form. Devas and Devis, ghosts and hell beings. So this spirit body is exactly the soul that we have inside of us. When beings are reborn in the womb or reborn in the egg, it is the spirit that enters the womb. The spirit enters the egg. But in the womb also it lodges itself in the egg, the mother's egg. So if this being does not go into that egg, the egg will not develop. We know this farm chickens, when they lay eggs, that egg by itself will not hatch into a chick. Yeah? Why? Because it is not fertilized. So a being must enter the egg before it can develop. So our body is just a shell. Just a shell. When we die, we will have to leave this shell. It is because it is a shell that sometimes some people with a weak mind, they can be possessed. So when they are possessed, other beings enter their body. And somebody has told me, that fellow he has experience of Tiu Tong, go into a trance, Teo Tang. He said when the spirit goes inside, it's like 2 beings inside him. 2 persons inside him. He knows. He cannot do anything. So that's why we have a soul. And that soul is a spirit, just like Devas and Devis, ghosts and hell beings. Now, there is a basis for this soul in the suttas. A lot of people, they study Abhidhamma, and Abhidhamma says there is no soul. There's no being that enters the womb. And this contradicts the suttas. In the Digha Nikaya, number 2, the Buddha talked about the different kinds of psychic powers that he has. The Buddha has many kinds of psychic powers. And one of them, the Buddha said, is the ability to take out from the top of his head another body. And the Buddha calls it the mind-made body. This is the spirit part of man. So that is the astral body that the Buddha can take out. Sometimes in the middle of the night, some of his disciples are striving very hard to meditate, to keep awake. But because they don't sleep enough, they fall asleep. So the Buddha would go to them from the head, come out and go to them. And then wake them up. And then come back. So there is a basis for this. for this soul in the suttas. Another one is in the Dhananjani Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 97, where it is said that if your karma is so heavy, so bad, that you're destined for hell, the moment you die, hell beings will come up and drag that being down to hell. So what is it that they drag? They're not dragging the corpse. They're dragging the soul of this man. That's why in Chinese we talk about Ngao Tao Ma Min, Gu Tao Be Bin. I have a devotee who told me the father, a few days before the father died, having dinner, the father saw this Gu Tao Be Bin, Ngao Tao Ma Min, waiting at the door. So that is another sutta. Also in the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 38 and 93, the Buddha said, for rebirth in the womb, there must be three conditions. The first is mother and father must come together. The second condition, the mother must be in the right season. So there is an egg there that is fertilized. The third condition, there must be a being called the Gandhabba in the suttas, waiting to enter the egg in the womb. So from here you see that there is a being that enters the womb, enters the egg. But like in Abhidhamma, they say the consciousness enters. But in the suttas, you cannot have consciousness without a body. Because consciousness refers to the 6 types of consciousness: the eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. So without these sense organs, how can you have consciousness? You cannot have. And then also in the Anguttara Nikaya, I think Book of the Force, the Buddha said there are 4 types of beings that enter the womb. One enters the womb unknowing, blur, stays in the womb also unknowing, comes out, is born also unknowing. The second type, he enters the womb knowing, then he stays in the womb unknowing, comes out also unknowing. The third, enters the womb knowing, stays in the womb also he knows, but when he comes out, he doesn't know. The fourth time is like our bodhisattva, the mind is strong. He said he entered the womb knowing, stay in the womb also knowing. When he came out of the womb also he knows. So from here you can see that there is a being that enters the womb. So on top of this, we have experience of people who sort of give credence to this soul theory. One is an old devotee of mine. He said many years ago, the auntie had a very nasty character, full of hatred, full of anger. And 2 days before the auntie died, before she died 2 days, the Dracula teeth came out. Teeth like Pontianak, so she looked like Pontianak. The children saw, the children got a shock. The man who told me also saw, otherwise he would not believe. They tried to cover the mouth, cannot cover. 2 days later, this auntie died. The moment she died, the teeth disappeared. What does it mean? It means because of her fierce character, she has turned into a Dracula, a Pontianak. The soul has changed into a Pontianak. Then recently, one of my devotees also told me the sister married a businessman, and this businessman, because of greed, he got this Kui Chai from Thailand, this ghost spirit. They keep this ghost and they feed the ghost, and the ghost will help them. So as a result, this man became a multi-millionaire. He had a lot of money. But now that he's old, he's dying. Now he has to pay back. So he keeps seeing that ghost, wants to bring him into the ghost realm. So he's very frightened, he doesn't want to die. He holds on to life, refuses to die. But over the days, the face starts to change into a fierce ghost. So, changed so much, the wife also cannot recognize him. It's no more the same person, changed into a ghost. So these are real life experiences that we hear. Another one is one man, many years ago, one man told me his experience. He was possibly a gangster. He said there were 3 or 4 men who wanted to kill him. So he knew he was running away, ran as fast as he could. These 4 men were also running after him as fast as they could. He kept running and suddenly he heard a gunshot. Bong! He kept running. Then something told him that he must stop and look back. So he stopped and turned around, and he saw his body lying on the floor. He got a surprise. He's out of his body already. And then something told him after a while that he must go back. The thought came, I must go back. So he said he went back into the body and he survived. If he did not go back, he would not have survived. Nowadays on the internet, we also hear about many of this out-of-body experience. They come out of the body like during the operation. But then they go back. If they didn't go back, they would have died. But there's a few books by some doctors. One is Dr. Moody. He wrote a book. He interviewed about 150 people who died. Some died in accident. Some died on the operating theatre. And then after they died about 10 or 20 minutes, then they came out of the body. After they came out of the body, there was no more body pain. So they were very relieved. And some of them even met some being, ball of light. And they are quite happy to go off, to follow that being. But usually they realize that their close, their beloved ones are crying. Family members are crying. So they come back into the body. If they did not come back, they went off, they would not have lived. So from here, you see, our character determines the soul, the type of soul we have inside. So it's very important. If you want to go to heaven, you have to change your character until you become a deva or devi. So how do we change our character? 2 factors of the Aryan Eightfold Path we need to use. One is right effort, the other one is right mindfulness. Right effort, as I mentioned, is to get rid of your unwholesome states of mind, greed, anger, and all that, and develop wholesome states of mind, generosity, loving kindness, etc. So, to do this, you have to use right mindfulness. You got to be observant of your body actions. You got to be observant of your speech. You got to be observant of your mind. So, like for example, if anger arises, and you are practicing Buddhist, when anger arises, suddenly you know anger is no good. Because if you continue to be angry, it becomes a habit. There are some people very easy to get angry one. You just say something that they don't like, they flare up. You see, sometimes in the newspaper we read about road rage. Just because of fighting for a parking space, somebody is killed. No need for all that. So we have to be observant of our body, our feelings, our mind, and Dhamma also. Dhamma because we want to live our life according to Dhamma. So that's why every day we must listen to the original suttas of the Buddha, original words of the Buddha to guide us. So That's why we have to use right mindfulness. Right mindfulness is to be mindful of the body, feelings, mind, and Dhamma. So this is contemplation. In Chinese, we say Nei Guan. And it's to be practiced outside of meditation, in everyday life. Actually, the Pali term is Vipassana. Vipassana, sometimes people translate wrongly as insight. Afterwards, I'll tell you why it cannot be insight. It is contemplation, and it is contemplation in everyday life. So if you practice this development of character, every day you have to look inward. Most of us we are used to looking outwards, complaining about this person, that person's fault. Every time you point a finger at somebody, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. You don't notice. So when you look at other people's fault, there are so many people looking at your fault. If we don't look at our own fault, we never admit our faults. There are some people, you want to help them, you tell them their fault, they get more angry, because they think they are perfect, they don't have fault, But if you have any friction with other people, then usually something wrong with your fault, with your character, otherwise you won't have friction with people, So you have to remember always to look inwards. We cannot change other people's character, but we can change our character. And it's important to change our character, otherwise you will go into the 3 woeful planes of rebirth. If you are a normal person does not do much evil, but a normal person is selfish. As Cantonese say, kiki ku kiki. So because of that, most human beings after we pass away will be reborn in the ghost realm. That's why you find most people when they are about to die, are they happy? No, they are afraid. Why? Or can say, your departed relatives have come. The grandmother, grandfather come to welcome you to the ghost realm, or your father and mother. So when you see that, you don't want to go. That's why you find most people when they are dying, they're scared. They don't want to go. They not close their eyes. They not close the light at night. They not be alone in the house. Must always have somebody around. That's not a good sign. If you have practiced the Dhamma correctly, when you are about to die, you see Devas and Devis coming to welcome you. So you'll be very happy. So always remember to look at our own faults, because where we go for rebirth is all in your hands. You can't pray to go to heaven, In Buddhism, I like to say Buddhism is a DIY religion. Do it yourself. Nobody can bring you to heaven. The Buddha said, what we want, you cannot get by prayers. No amount of prayers will get you what you want. No vows will get you what you want. You cry so you won't get what you want. The Buddha said, if you can get, why is there so much suffering in the world? Every day beings in the hell are burned, are tortured, are cut. Every day they are crying. Who is helping? Nobody can help a single one of them. Ghosts every night are crying, hungry, nothing to eat. Have to eat dead corpse, have to eat dead chicken, dead lizard, dead frog, all these things. Nothing to eat, have to go to the jamban. So, who is helping? Nobody is helping, nobody can help. Our life is according to our karma. No one can bless us, no one can curse us. Our good deeds, our good actions will bless us. Our evil actions will curse us. That's why it's very important to know the Dhamma so that we can lead our life in the right way. The second one is development of mind. Our mind is covered by 5 hindrances, 5 things that obstruct us, that give us a lot of annoyance, give us a lot of mental suffering. These 5 things, normally we say sensual desire, ill will or anger, sloth and torpor, making us very lazy, very sleepy, very blur, restlessness and worry. And fifth is doubt. So these 5 things, sometimes they obsess your mind. If they become strong, they obsess your mind. You see in the paper sometimes old man rape the daughter or rape the granddaughter because sensual desire he cannot control. And some people, because of anger, sometimes the father quarrel with the son and somebody kills somebody. So these 5 hindrances, the Buddha said in the Samyutta Nikaya 46.40, Buddha said, monks, these 5 hindrances are causes of blindness, making lack of vision, causing lack of knowledge, blocking wisdom, resulting in annoyance or vexation, and leads away from Nibbana. So you see, this because of these 5 hindrances, we are blind, we cannot see clearly. So we have lack of vision. Lack of vision means we don't have right view. Right view, if you have right view, means you understand the Dhamma and you have become an Arya. Right view is the first factor of the Aryan Eightfold Path. Once you attain right view, you have entered the Aryan Eightfold Path. And Aryan Eightfold Path is also called the stream. So once you get right view, you have attained stream entry. You have become an Arya, a holy person. So if you have these 5 hindrances strong and they are blocking you, you listen to the Dhamma also you cannot understand. That's why the Buddha said only intelligent people can understand the Dhamma. Foolish people not interested, and even you make them listen also they cannot understand. That's why, because it blocks wisdom, and then it leads away from Nibbana, leads away from enlightenment. So development of mind is to eliminate these 5 hindrances. There are 3 types of elimination. One is temporary elimination. Temporary elimination is when we do something, we have full attention, focused attention. In the Samyutta Nikaya 46.38, the Buddha said, when monks, a noble disciple listens to the Dhamma with eager ears, attending to it as a matter of vital concern, directing his whole mind to it, at that time, the 5 hindrances are not present. At that time, the 7 factors of enlightenment are developed fully. So you see, when you listen to the Dhamma, directing your whole mind to it, that means focused mind. At that time, the 5 hindrances are not there to block you, and the 7 factors of enlightenment are developed fully. That means you can understand and you can become an Arya. So that's why I like to, in the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 43, it is said there are 2 conditions for right view. One is the voice of another teaching you the true Dhamma. The second condition is yoniso manasikara. Some people translate it as careful attention, proper attention, etc. But I like to translate it as focused attention, because here it's very clear. When you listen to the Dhamma with eager ears, attending to it as a matter of vital concern, directing the whole mind to it, at that time, the 5 hindrances are not present and the 7 factors of enlightenment are developed. That means you have to listen to the Dhamma with a focused attention. The second type of elimination of the 5 hindrances is long-term elimination. Long-term elimination means you get rid of these 5 hindrances for a long time. It is said in the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 68, Nalaka Pana Sutta, the Buddha said, what should be done, Anuruddha, by a clansman who has gone forth, while he still does not attain to the delight and bliss that are aloof from sensual desires, aloof from unwholesome states. That means the first jhana, or to something more peaceful than that. That means higher jhanas. Covetous Covetousness invades his mind and remains. Ill will invades his mind and remains. Sloth and torpor invades his mind and remains. Restlessness and remorse invades his mind and remain. Doubt invades his mind and remains. Discontent invades his mind and remains. Weariness invades his mind and remains. But when he attains to the delight and bliss that are aloof from sensual desires, that means the first jhana, aloof from unwholesome states, or to something more peaceful than that, that means higher jhanas. These hindrances, covetousness, ill will, sloth and torpor, restlessness and remorse, doubt, discontent, do not invade his mind and remain anymore. So if you attain the jhanas, even the first jhana, the 5 hindrances are eliminated long term. And then the third one is permanent elimination of the 5 hindrances. Only an arahant has permanently eliminated the 5 hindrances. Just now we talk about long-term elimination. If you have attained the jhanas for a long term, you don't have the hindrances. But if you do something very wrong, for example, like Devadatta, he wanted to kill the Buddha. When he wanted to kill the Buddha, he lost all his psychic powers. He lost all his jhanas. So if you don't do something like that, and you have attained the jhanas, your hindrances are still eliminated. But to attain the jhanas is difficult. In the description of the first jhana, it is said, detached from or aloof from sensual desires, aloof from unwholesome states, a monk enters and abides in the first jhana. So for you to attain the first jhana, samadhi, you have to give up sensual desires. You have to get rid of unwholesome states. That means you have to siu sing for some time, If you're a newcomer, you don't expect to get jhana so easily. So this is how we eliminate the jhanas. And if you eliminate the hindrances, if you eliminate the hindrances and you attain the jhanas, there's a very good chance for you to be reborn in the jhana heavens. The world system, the Buddha says, consists of three realms. Sensual desire realm, where you have male and female beings. That's called the sensual desire realm. And then above that is the form realm, where the beings are devas and they are unisex. In the form realm, there's no male and female, there's no sensual lust. The happiness comes from within, because they have attained samadhi, attained states of concentration. The mind is always happy, The Buddha said, the beings in the second jhana heaven, they are so happy. Every day they are saying sukha, 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 like having taken drugs. But then for millions and millions of years they are happy, not just for 1 hour. And then the third jhana heavens, the Buddha said they are so happy, so bliss out. Bị chút xia pula. Moi chút sang. Bliss out. So if you attain the jhanas, you're likely to be reborn in those high heavens where you're so happy. And those heavenly beings, they don't have a body like us, We have a head, we have 2 hands, 2 feet. Those beings in the sensual desire realm, they also are like that. But those in the form realm, they are just a ball of light. A ball of light. But because the mind is so strong, when they come down, for example, to visit the Buddha, they can change their form. Change their form and to be like a human being and talk to the Buddha. And then the third realm is the formless realm. The devas are even higher class. Very, very huge body, but very, very fine body. So that all other devas, heavenly beings, cannot see them. Because other beings cannot see them, that's why they are called formless. So you see, if you develop your character, you would, by practicing dhan, this getting rid of unwholesome states, then you have a good rebirth. you will go to heaven more likely. Lah. And then if you practice development of mind, you will go to higher heavens lah, if you attain the jhanas. So these two, development of character and development of mind, bhavana, the word is bhavana, development, gives you a lot of blessings. But then your blessings is not unlimited, because the world is impermanent. So even if you go for rebirth in the heavens many times, one day you might come down to be a human being. Another day you might come down to be a ghost or an animal, or even fall into hell. So